Thank you, Dennis. Good morning, everyone. Rawnda Pierce is here from Twin Cities Development. We thought we'd catch up on what TCD is doing over the next, say, several months and what they have been doing. So it's good to have you here.
Thanks,
it's been
Kevin.
a while.
Yeah, well, he calls me last night and said, "Can you be on the show?"
Well, I had somebody kind of move.
Okay.
So I knew I could always call you and you'd be here.
Okay.
So anyway, I guess first thing we need to talk about is this EPA Brownfields assessment grant, and I don't know whether people really understand that totally about what it's all about. So why don't you explain it for us?
Well, it actually just went in the mail yesterday. It had to be postmarked yesterday, so it did get in the mail. Last weekend was pretty much, I learned a lot more about EPA Brownfields assessment than I thought I knew. What it is, it's a cleanup assessment grant through the EPA, and it's a federal grant, very competitive, and what we're looking to do is use it to assess properties along the corridor, which is the Scottsbluff-Gering Highway between the two railroad tracks, between the two downtowns. And the reason we feel it's very important is, we've been doing downtown revitalization in both Scottsbluff and Gering, but now we have this disconnect between the two that's pretty much an eyesore and needs some beautification and some redevelopment. But people won't, businesses won't look at those properties when they don't know what the environmental issues are. We've got a lot of vacant rundown properties, but they don't want to touch them if they don't know what's there. So the assessments look at phase ones, phase twos, asbestos surveys so that we know what's there. Now, it's not the cleanup. That's the next phase.
Okay.
So this is just assessing the properties.
All right.
And we're putting in for the maximum we can put in is $200,000. So that's what we're requesting.
Okay. And then after the $200,000 is over and they study all that stuff and do the assessment, then you apply for another grant to implement.
There's a cleanup grant that you can possibly apply for. And, some of it can be done locally. Once we know what's there, we can look at some other things. It's just the unknowns are often the deterrent.
Okay. I agree with you. There's some things that can be done on the Scottsbluff-Gering Highway.
Well, and especially now that both downtowns are being, revitalized, and you're going to have two really nice downtowns connected by a really unsightly area. So, there has been work done on the area, and there is some cleanup going on, but there's always, room to improve. Plus, it'll add additional sites. We have a lot of infrastructure in that corridor of water, sewer, streets, and we might as well utilize it.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. You're doing a lot of other grant work with other entities, including Scottsbluff Schools, a college, a lot of different places.
Well,
right?
Darla Hagem is specifically working with Scottsbluff Public Schools on the Youth Career Connect grant, and WNCC, Twin Cities Development, Workforce Development, and I think there's another partner, Scottsbluff Schools, obviously. What they're looking at is a grant to help utilize the workforce or create our own workforce and have better trained people coming out of high school and college. And what they would do is with the career academies, they'd kind of set the kids on a path at an earlier age and then involve the employers more in training those kids to the skills they need. So it's a large grant that's going in. Again, it's federal, it's very competitive. So I know they've been working really hard on that grant.
Okay. Gering downtown revitalization, we've talked a lot about that here recently, and there's the report's going to the council here fairly soon, another 2 or 3 weeks, right?
The consultants have done their study. They've been out here twice, and they are going to be making the final report to the council on February 10th. That'll allow us to put in for phase 2, the implementation portion of the grant, by the end of March. And again, Scottsbluff's is completed, but they are also looking at going into a phase 2 for the aesthetic portion of the grant. Or the grant's over, but they're actually looking at continuing on their own with the city. So a lot of things that can happen between the report and when we submit the grant, which again Twin Cities Development will prepare that on behalf of the city, is the committee has to decide, okay, now that we've seen what the consultants are saying we should do, that's their job to determine how the money that we're requesting is going to get split up. So that's where the real fun part comes in of, okay, how much are we going to spend on public improvements versus private buildings? And Gering is actually in really good condition.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the buildings have had a lot of work done on them.
And some of them are old.
Some of them are old. You could bring out the historic details of those. And there's a lot of things that could be done. It's just a matter of what direction the committee decides to take.
All right. What about the hotel part of that? They were suggesting that the hotel be in the parking lot over there by the Civic Center, which I don't think a lot of people had thought about.
Well, honestly, when they said it, I was surprised too, because I didn't know that was an option so that we could look at. But the consultants that came and were at the public meetings said they really feel like it needs to be more like the urban areas, develop hotels where they attach it to the Civic Center and make it part of. And makes a lot of sense. Now, whether the council decides that's a good idea or not, that's kind of where it goes next. So I think it will be part of the recommendation, but that will again be on the February 10th.
And you have some investors that are interested in doing that?
We have a group that's constantly been asking me where are we at with the hotel, but it didn't make a lot of sense to keep moving forward and get a group of people all excited about it until we knew where it was going to be, what kind of size. So we really wanted to wait till this downtown revitalization recommendation comes out.
Okay. All right, we'll talk about more things, including the mall, right after this.
Making the ordinary event extraordinary. You want a beautiful venue with added value, including a professional staff to assist in event planning, and the meat shop, a catering food trend for 30 years. It's all happening in Gering, and we're just around the corner from you. Call West Nebraska's premier multifunction facility at 436-6888 or visit www.geringciviccenter.com. The Gering Civic Center. True inspiration, beyond marvelous.
Back on News Extra, pleased to have Rawnda Pierce here from Twin Cities Development. We've touched on a number of things here in the first 5 or 6 minutes. Now we're going to ask her, I always constantly get asked by everyone about the mall and the excitement there is in this community about the fact that actually something's going to be done.
Well, we met with the current owner a couple months before they actually purchased the mall, and I'm excited too. He is very... He's moving on a fast pace. I think he'll get some things done, and he's a go-getter. So I'm excited. I think he will bring in a bunch of new stores in relatively short amount of time. I mean, he's doing some things already, like he's planning on changing the signage and having more visibility. So I think it'll be good for the community.
Yeah, I was hearing signage. We'll start to see signage changes possibly in May, maybe even a new tenant by May or shortly after. So, I mean, yeah, you're going to start seeing some things here relatively soon.
Well, just in meeting with him and a couple people, I mean, they don't mess around. I think they had some things already lined up before they even talked to the mall people. I mean, I think they work with a lot of different companies, so I think they have some relationships that will be looked at for sure. So I'm excited as well.
Yeah. All right, a couple of meetings of interest, both of them today. The call to action meeting up at WNCC. This is pretty important. We're going to have Nathan Johnson on tomorrow, maybe Liz Hilliard, some other folks, whoever is chairman of this group tomorrow, but kind of talk about the importance of this.
Well, the call to action is kind of being driven by a study that Senator Harms had done, and a couple people from the economics department at UNO, Jerry Dykert. It's tonight from 6 to 9 at the Harms Center, and they're going to look at ways to strategize on improvement in a lot of areas: poverty, education, workforce, bringing our statistics up and improving quality of life in the community.
Yeah, and they're going to break out in subgroups and so forth.
I'm not sure. I'm not
sure
exactly, but I know they've got a core group of people, but anyone in the public is invited to attend that.
All right, that's 6 to 9 tonight over at WNCC. Another thing that's going on today is regarding this new transmission line that NPPD is working on.
Yeah, NPPD is looking at putting in new transmission lines around the Stiegel, which would give us another transmission instead of east-west. It's another carrier, which has been the deterrent for wind development. So if they were actually able to accomplish this, wind development could be looked at again. And so that is at the Civic Center from 2 to 8, and invite people to go out and talk about how important that is to get another transmission line going in the other direction.
Okay, it's open house today, 2 to 8. That one is over at the Civic Center. The call to action meeting tonight, 6 to 9, is over at the Harms Center.
Yep.
All right. Okay, I think we covered a lot.
All right. Well, thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.